Alright, so here we are. So it starts off, we got the three of us are in front of the Forsaken Inn here, and you can see Weathertop there above the middle character's head there. And we're going to start on our journey right now. You can see how tall the grass is. That's because the main character here, Iolphus, is a dwarf, and the other characters are hobbits, so they're typically a little bit smaller than other characters. So yeah, there's the Forsaken Inn telling us that we're there, and you can see Weathertop there. We're going to try to make it to the top of Weathertop. Now, one of the tricks of getting up there is avoiding the monsters. None of us in this party are high enough level to be able to even beat one of the birds that would attack you, and we know this because we've tried a couple of times prior to this to get up Weathertop, and we went up various ways and inevitably encountered various creatures that pretty much just killed us and stopped us from getting to the top. So the penalty for dying in LOTRO isn't too bad. I think it just takes some more wear and tear on your items or something, and but it you don't want to die if you can avoid it. So yeah, so there was one of the creatures that we're trying to avoid. You can see kind of up and to the left over here, and so also I should note that. In the movie, the characters, they came from the north, it says. There was some type of path that rangers used to, I don't know, to get them up the mountain. It's not clear. And in the movie, I think, did I say movie or novel? In the movie, anyway, it's not clear how they get to Weathertop. It's kind of I'm not even sure if they look at it first or what, but they just kind of end up on top of Weathertop. And so we're trying here to find a path sort of on the northern side of Weathertop to try and see if we can find something similar to what's in the book, in the novel. And we're avoiding some monsters here. But yeah, so anyway, this adventure that we're on here is going to differ a little bit from the novel, in that, we're kind of coming from Forsaken Inn, but we're not really in the mountains, I guess, trying to avoid the road like they were in the novel. And you can see there was Weathertop in the background, so we're still quite a ways away. And it's taking a little while because we're trying to avoid the different monsters around because they're higher level than us. Interestingly, the character that has the camera focused, Iolphus, that is what the player is seeing at the moment. So the player does not see any like HUD objects or anything like maps or any warnings that there might be a hostile monster nearby. So the Iolphus character is actually relying on the other characters there to find the way and make sure that they try to avoid the monsters as best as possible. So yeah, it takes a little while. It's a little bit disjointed, but we're getting there, moving along. So in another comparison to the movie, in the movie anyway, it seems like there's no other monsters or anything really around. I don't even. Maybe there were some birds flying around, but like it's not there. It's certainly not something that the characters in the movie are worried about. You can see that the club is out now because we got actually too close to one of the mobs, and Iolphus is now being attacked and trying to run away. So we're trying to run away, and eventually he will run away and be safe. But if Iolphus would have tried to fight that monster, I think we would have had to record another video at that time. So there is Weathertop, another view. We're actually pretty close to it right now. We're at the base, pretty much. So anyway, yes, there were no monsters in the movie that I noticed around, other than the ring wraiths, of course, which come and stab Frodo later once they're on Weathertop. But up until that point in the film, anyway, in the movie, there wasn't anything mentioned there wasn't anything that I could tell as far as monsters. Now in the novel, it's a little bit different. They do mention birds and other monsters in this area as they're traveling to Weathertop, but they don't ever mention any encounters that they've had with them or if they had to deal with them. They seem to have been able to pick a path that avoided all of the monsters or the birds. And in some sense, that's what we're doing here. We're trying to pick a path that gets us up to Weathertop so that we're pretty much not seen by any of the monsters. In case, you never know if, Sauron is using any of these creatures around us to find us, right? Yeah. So we started off at the Forsaken Inn. One of the reasons was because they mentioned it in the novel, actually. He says... Mary asks, "How far is Rivendell?" And Strider's response is, "I don't know if the road has ever been measured in miles beyond the Forsaken Inn. A day's journey east of Bree." So that's where the Forsaken Inn is, a day's journey east of Bree, and he mentions that. So now we're at this camp, and it's an interesting camp. I think it's called Candaith, Candaith's encampment, and it's I'm not sure if this is the camp supposed to represent the camp that they camped at prior to getting up Weathertop in the novel. I'm not sure if that is at all. And also, you're now seeing that there's sort of a path now that we're going to be getting on, and I don't know if this is the path that's mentioned, because technically we're not on the north side of Weathertop, so actually we are on the north side of Weathertop, so this could be the path. I'm not sure. Anyway, we're on our way up the mountain now, and you can see the character point of view change as Ylfus goes into first person. So now we're seeing through the eyes of Ylfus, and it's a little tough at first to get oriented moving around, but there you go. The player's getting the hang of it a little bit, and hopefully this will enable us to see a little bit, a little bit more of what it might be like to actually be going up this mountain. And every now and again we're going to stop and kind of look around and see what we can see. And there you can see some of the rock from the mountain, and on the left here you see trees, and there's a boulder there, and some type of structure there, and that structure, I don't know. I don't think that's the path that they refer to in the novel that obscures the view from the outside. I suspect that we're on the Weathertop right now, and we are exposed. So if someone were to be able to look at us from a distance, they would probably see us running up this mountain. But I'm not totally sure about that. So what else do we got? So yeah, there's some more structures. We're getting closer to the top, and anyway, yeah. So again, more structure that I guess was built at a part. Now we're going to look over the edge, and the reason we're doing it here is because when you get to the top of Weathertop, at actually the top, you can't look over the edge because there's birds that will attack you, and right now we're not strong enough to beat those birds. So this is about the best view we're going to get of the valley below from Weathertop, and we're kind of trying to see. I think we're actually on the south side of the mountain, and I think that is the road right down there between those two hills, if I am correct. I might be wrong about that. It's kind of hard to tell where we are up here because I'm not used to looking at the landscape from the top. You may have heard a kind of a falling sound or something. That was one of the characters actually fell off the mountain there. And interestingly, LOTRO doesn't do anything serious to you if you have fall damage. Probably one of the reasons for that is that it's easy to accidentally press the wrong key and fall off. And so they don't want to penalize you too much for doing that. So yes, so that other character fell off and will be rejoining us shortly after coming back up. So here we are. We're at the later stages of getting up to Weathertop, and we're definitely getting into more rocky terrain. And it seems like the rock is just almost a straight up kind of rock cliff. I think the novel describes this. I'm not going to be able to find it right now. The novel describes it as like a steep rocky path or something like that. A steep rocky path going up the mountain, getting right up to the top until you get to the top. And that's where we're at right now. It gets a little bit steeper. And we're going to go right up into Weathertop. And here we are. And this is it. We have made it to the summit of Weathertop, of Mount Weathertop. And we're going to look around here for a bit. As I said, we can't really go to the edge because of the birds, but we are going to keep just going to look around here. This is almost, it feels pretty close to what is described in the novel. There's the burnt marks on the ground, and there are the rocks. And here you have the rock that Gandalf scratched his initial G and 3 there 3 days ago. G. So yes, these are the famous rocks. And so we have made it up to Weathertop. So in the novel, there's some kind of little camping area nearby, like a little I don't know. It's a little bowl-shaped dell, it says. And that's where Sam and Pippin came in. And we're just going to be posing a little bit here, and that is it. Yeah. Thanks for watching. Hopefully that was an interesting trip up Weathertop.